Now we will be discussing about approach to a child with short stature. Looking at definition, height below third centile or less than 2 standard deviation below the mean height for that age and sex according to the population standard, or even if the height is within the normal percentiles but growth velocity is consistently below 25th percentile over 6 to 12 months of observation. Factors affecting height, that is intrauterine growth factors, nutrition, thyroid hormone, that is since birth to 1 year, growth hormone from second year of life to 8 years, and FSH, LH, and thyroid at puberty. Normal height pattern. The birth length is 50 cm, at 1 year it is 75 cm, 2 years 87.5 cm, 3 years 93.7 cm, 4 years 100 cm, 8 years 125, 12 years 150. Growth velocity should be 6 cm per year. Short stature, the approach will be, if there is short stature, we have to look out whether the child is dysmorphic or normal. If the child is dysmorphic, then it can be Russell-Silver, Noonan's, Turner syndrome, Down syndrome, Prader-Willi, or pseudo-hypoparathyroidism. If there is no dysmorphism, then we have to look whether it is a proportionate short stature or disproportionate short stature. If it is proportionate short stature, then it can be constitutional, familial, IUGR, chronic malnutrition, celiac disease, chronic systemic disease like CRF or CLD, growth hormone deficiency, hypogonadism, hypothyroidism. If it is disproportionate short stature, then look out for osteogenesis imperfecta, achondroplasia, rickets, metabolic and storage disorders in which there is a short spine. Causes of short stature. Proportionate short stature. The normal variants are familial and constitutional growth delay. Prenatal causes: intrauterine growth restriction, placental causes, infections, and teratogens. Intrauterine infections, genetic disorders, chromosomal and metabolic disorders. Psychosocial short stature, emotional deprivation, endocrinal causes with increased weight for height, that is growth hormone deficiency or growth hormone insensitivity, hypothyroidism, juvenile diabetes mellitus, Cushing syndrome, pseudo-hypoparathyroidism. Disproportionate short stature with short limbs, look out for achondroplasia, hypochondroplasia, chondrodysplasia puncta, ectodermal dysplasia, dystrophic dysplasia, metaphyseal chondrodysplasia, deformities due to osteogenesis imperfecta, and refractory rickets. With short tongue, it can be spondoepiphyseal dysplasia, mucolipidosis, mucopolysaccharidosis, Carey spine, and hemivertebrae. Comparison. This is the comparison chart between familial short stature and constitutional short stature. Familial short stature. It is both equally affected, that is males and females are equally affected, and constitutional short stature, that is more common in boys. Length at birth. In familial short stature, it will be normal, crosses percentile downwards by 3 years. In constitutional short stature, it is normal, starts falling less than 5th percentile in first 3 years of life. Family history. There will be a family history of short stature in familial short stature. There will be a history of delayed puberty in constitutional short stature. Parent stature. In familial short stature, parents will be short, one or both. In constitutional short stature, the parent's height will be average. Height velocity. In familial short stature, it is less than normal but gains more than 4 cm per year. In constitutional short stature, the height velocity is normal. Puberty. Puberty is normal in familial short stature, but it is delayed in constitutional short stature. Bone age and chronological age. Bone age is equal to chronological age, which is less than height age. In constitutional short stature, Chronological age is more than bone age, which is equal to height age. Final height. In familial short stature, the final height will be short but normal for target height. In constitutional short stature, it will be normal due to normal growth in prepubertal years. Clues to etiology from history. If the history is of delay of puberty in parents, the etiology can be constitutional short stature. If it is low birth weight, then it can be short for gestational age. If there is history of neonatal hypoglycemia, jaundice, micropenis, look out for growth hormone deficiency. If there is dietary intake is improper, then look out for malnutrition. If there is history of headache, vomiting and visual problem, look out for pituitary and hypothalamic causes or space occupying lesions. If there is history of lethargy, constipation and weight gain, then hypothyroidism should be ruled out. If there is history of polyuria, look out for chronic renal failure or renal tubular acidosis. In social history, look out for psychosocial dwarfism. If there is history of diarrhea and greasy stools, look out for malabsorption. Pointers to etiology of short stature. Midline defects, micropenis, frontal bossing, depressed nasal bridge and crowded teeth, which is commonly seen in growth hormone deficiency. Rickets. Rickets with short stature is seen in renal failure, renal tubular acidosis and malabsorption. If there is pallor, look out for renal failure, malabsorption, nutritional anemia. There is malnutrition, it can be PEM, malabsorption, celiac disease or cystic fibrosis. If there is obesity, then rule out hypothyroidism, Cushing syndrome, Prader-Willi syndrome. If there is metacarpal shortening, it can be Turner syndrome or pseudo-hypoparathyroidism. If there is a murmur, then rule out congenital heart disease or Turner syndrome. If there is mental retardation, then it can be hypothyroidism, Downs or Turner syndrome or pseudo-hypoparathyroidism. Clues to etiology from examination. In examination, if there is disproportion, then rule out skeletal dysplasia, rickets or hypothyroidism. If there is dysmorphism, then rule out all congenital syndromes. Infantile appearance, micropenis, rule out growth hormone deficiency and multiple pituitary hormone deficiency. If there is hypertension, rule out CRF. If there is short metacarpals, then parathyroid, Turner's, shock gene defect. There is goiter or coarse skin, rule out hypothyroidism. There is central obesity and striae, rule out Cushing syndrome. In investigations, the level 1 investigation, which is essential investigations, it comprises of complete hemogram with ESR, hepatic and renal profile to rule out chronic disease, bone age, that is X-ray of left wrist should be taken, urine analysis should be done, in which microscopy, pH and osmolality is seen, stool examination to rule out parasites, steatorrhea and occult blood, and other serum investigations consists of calcium, phosphate, alkaline phosphatase, venous gaze, fasting sugar, albumin and transaminases, karyotyping and pelvic ultrasonography should be done. Karyotyping is done to rule out Turner syndrome in girls if above investigations are normal and height between -2 to -3 standard deviation. Observe height velocity for 6 to 12 months. If height is less than 3 standard deviation, then proceed to level 2 investigation. In level 2 investigation, IGF-1, IGF binding protein 3, growth hormone and other dynamic stimulation tests, neuroimaging. These tests are best left for specialized units. In level 3 investigations, celiac serology, that is anti-endomysial or anti-tissue transglutaminase antibodies, duodenal biopsy, growth hormone stimulation test with clonidine or insulin and serum insulin like growth factor 1 levels. In management, counseling of parents should be done for physiological causes, dietary advice is given for undernutrition, celiac disease and RTA, limb lengthening procedures like in skeletal dysplasias. In hypothyroidism, levothyroxine is started. In growth hormone deficiency, subcutaneous injections. Growth hormone injections is also indicated in Turner syndrome, SGA, CRF prior to transplant. Approach to tall stature. First of all, we will look out for definition. Tall stature is defined as a height beyond 97th percentile, that is over two standard deviations of mean for age and sex. Excessive growth is defined as an abnormally rapid growth velocity which could manifest as height acceleration across two major percentile lines on the growth chart. Etiology of tall stature, which is familial, that is constitutional tall stature, that is a common cause. Nutritional, which comprises of exogenous obesity, and endocrinal causes. In endocrinal causes, rule out precocious puberty, pituitary gigantism, McCune-Albright syndrome, thyrotoxicosis, androgen estrogen deficiency, estrogen resistance in males, testicular feminization, adrenocorticotropic hormone cortisol deficiency, ACTS cortisol resistance, and aromatase deficiency. Chromosomal causes rule out Klinefelter syndrome, Fragile X syndrome, and XYY syndrome. Collagen vascular disorders rule out Marfan syndrome, metabolic rule out homocystinuria, fetal overgrowth syndrome, which is seen in maternal diabetes mellitus, cerebral gigantism, which is Sotos syndrome, Beckwith-Weidman syndrome, Weaver syndrome, Simpson-Golabi-Behmel overgrowth syndrome, and other IGF-2 excess syndrome. In physical examination, meticulous measurement of parameters height, weight, BMI, upper segment to lower segment ratio, arm span, and height and arm span ratio is essential. Accurate plotting of anthropometric parameters on growth chart, crossing height percentiles between infancy and onset of puberty always warrants further evaluation. Specifically look for signs of obesity, signs of precocious or delayed puberty, dysmorphism, stigmata of specific disorders known to be associated with tall stature. Tanner sexual maturity rating should be done in all children presenting with tall stature as a routine practice. This is the algorithm for suspected tall stature. If there is a suspected tall stature, height length more than 97 percentile for age and sex. If it is present, history and physical examination is done. Look out for stigmata. If stigmata is absent, then measure parental height. If both parents are tall, then it can be familial constitutional tall stature. If parental height is normal, look out for bone age. If bone age is normal, then proceed to familial and constitutional tall stature. If bone is accelerated, look out for BMI. If BMI is more, that is obesity, it is exogenous obesity. If BMI is non-obese range, then do pubertal development assessment. If it is advanced, then it is precocious puberty. If the pubertal, that is SMR, is normal, then IGF-1 and growth hormone excess, that is pituitary gigantism, and TSH and T3 T4 should be done to rule out hyperthyroidism. If stigmata is present, proportionate tall stature is there, then BVS Weaver syndrome. If proportionate tall stature is not there, learning behavior problem is there, rule out homocystinuria, Klinefelter syndrome or Sotos syndrome. If there is no learning or behavioral problem, then Marfan syndrome is to be ruled out. Suspected cause and investigation. If Beckwith-Weidman syndrome is suspected, do glucose, insulin, renal ultrasonography. Maternal diabetes mellitus, glucose and insulin level. Growth hormone excess is suspected, do growth hormone, IGF-1, insulin, growth factor binding protein 3 levels. Pituitary MRI is done. If hyperthyroidism is suspected, do T3 T4 TSH level. If homocystinuria is suspected, do homocysteine level and methionine level. If Klinefelter syndrome is suspected, do LH, FSH and testosterone levels. Karyotyping is done. In XYY syndrome, karyotyping is done. If Marfan syndrome is suspected, then it is a clinical diagnosis. Fibrillin 1 gene mutation should be done. Precocious central puberty, do bone age, LH, FSH, estradiol and testosterone level, GnRH analog stimulation test. If it is peripheral, then do bone age, 17 OHP, HCG, DHEAS, estradiol, testosterone level and cosinotropin stimulation test. In treatment, reassurance of the family and the patient is the key of the management of normal variant tall stature. The use of bone age and careful assessment of pubertal status to predict adult height. General supportive discussions on social acceptability of the condition. Even though treatment is available for girls and boys with excessive growth, its use should be restricted to patients with predicted adult height more than 3 standard deviation above the mean, 78 inches or 198 cm in male patients and 71 inches or 180 cm in female patients. If there is evidence of significant psychosocial impairment, for those with extreme tall familial height or those with Marfan syndrome, sex steroid will cause early epiphyseal fusion and growth arrest and will accelerate puberty. Oral ethinyl estradiol at a dose of 0.15 to 0.5 mg per 24 hours until cessation of growth occurs has been used successfully in girls. If necessary, a progestational agent can be added after 1 year of unopposed estrogen. In boys, treatment should begin before the bone age reaches 14 years. Testosterone ethantate is used as a dose of 500 mg intramuscularly every 2 weeks for 6 months. Treatment of growth hormone oversecretion. The goal of therapy to remove or shrink the pituitary mass, to restore growth hormone and secretory patterns to normal, to restore insulin like growth factor 1 and IGF BP3 levels to normal, to retain the normal pituitary secretion of other hormones, and to prevent recurrence of disease. For well circumscribed adenomas, transsphenoidal surgery, the likelihood of surgical cure depends greatly on the surgeon's expertise as well as on the size and extension of the mass. The goal of treatment is to normalize growth hormone levels. Growth hormone levels less than 1 nanogram per ml within 2 hours after a glucose load and serum IGF-1 levels. Age adjusted normal range are the best tests to define a biochemical cure. If surgery fails to normalize growth hormone level, then medical therapy and radiation. Tumors growth is arrested in 99% cases by radiation, but it has a delayed efficacy in lowering growth hormone level. Hypopituitarism is predictable outcome in 40 to 50% cases after 10 years of irradiation. Medical management consists of somatostatin analogs, highly effective in treatment of patients with growth hormone excess, that is octreotide, which suppresses growth hormone to less than 2.5 nanogram per ml in 65% of patients with acromegaly and normalizes IGF-1 levels in 70%. For cases that have both growth hormone and prolactin oversecretion, dopamine agonists such as bromocriptine should be considered, which bind to the pituitary dopamine type 2 receptors and suppresses growth hormone secretion. It is generally used as adjuvant medical treatment for growth hormone excess, if effectiveness may be additive to that of octreotide. This is the growth hormone. This is the growth chart in which we have to plot along with the BMI. Different growth charts. According to WHO.